This image here depicts a cross-section of a spinal cord from Dr. Attaway's PowerPoint notes. On this image, the butterfly shape in the center is gray matter that is made up of cell bodies. The gray matter is composed of ventral horns, which send out efferent motor messages here, and dorsal horns, which receive afferent sensory information here. The surrounding area is all white matter that is made up of axons. On the left side of the gray matter, we have colored areas that represent nuclei, which would be a cluster of cell bodies inside the gray matter. The prominent nuclei in the spinal cord are the marginal zone, substantia gelatinosa, nucleus proprius, dorsal nuclei of Clark, interomediolateral nucleus, and lateral and medial motor neurons. In this presentation, however, our focus is going to be what is depicted on the right side. These colored-in areas represent parts of the gray matter called laminae. In the 1950s, Bohr Rex found layers within the gray matter where cells were grouped based on similar structure and function instead of location. These areas of similarity are called lamina. The gray matter of the spinal cord is divided into 10 different lamina, as you can see by the 10 different colored areas on this image. The 10 lamina are labeled using Roman numerals 1 through 10. Lamina 1 is located in the dorsal horn and receives noxious stimuli. This would include pain or damage to the body from mechanical, chemical, or thermal sources. This lamina corresponds to the marginal zone, which you can see on the left side of this image. The second lamina, which is also in the dorsal horn, is responsible for receiving all sensory information, including both noxious and non-noxious. In particular, this lamina focuses on moderating the sensation of pain. According to Teach Me Anatomy series, this lamina helps the brain decide if an oncoming signal is painful or not. This lamina will communicate with lamina 3 and 4. Because of its location, you can see that it corresponds to the substantia gelatinosa nucleus, which was mentioned earlier. Moving along, lamina 3 has a slightly different function. It controls the sensations of proprioception, which involves awareness of body positioning and light touch. This layer will communicate with layers 4, 5, and 6 and correspond to nucleus proprius. Lamina 4 is responsible for receiving and distributing non-noxious sensory information and processing. This lamina connects with lamina 2, also corresponding to nucleus proprius. The next lamina, lamina 5, relays sensory information. Specifically, the lamina relays nociceptive sensory signals to the brain using the spinothalamic tract. At the same time, this lamina receives descending information from the brain via corticospinal and rubrospinal tracts. Lamina 6, which is found here, is different than the rest because it is only present in the cervical and lumbosacral enlargements. It contains interneurons involved in modulation of spinal reflexes. In addition, the interneurons modulate reception of sensory information from muscle spindles that are involved in proprioception. This information is then sent to the brain using ipsilateral spinocerebellar pathways. Lamina 7 creates a pathway that involves receiving information from lamina 2 through 6 and the viscera, and relaying the motor information back to the viscera. It ultimately gives rise to cells involved in that function and regulates the autonomic nervous system. This lamina is unique in that its size varies throughout the length of the spinal cord. It corresponds to dorsal nucleus of Clark. Now we will be switching gears a little and moving to the lamina found in the ventral horn of the gray matter, which means these lamina are responsible for controlling body parts. First, we have lamina 8, which is responsible for modulating motor output to skeletal muscles. It is most prominent in cervical and lumbar regions, but varies depending on the part of the spinal cord it is located. Next, lamina 9 innervates striated muscles, which include skeletal and cardiac muscle tissue. Lastly, lamina 10 is going to surround the central canal making up the gray commissure. This is where axons are going to decussate or cross over from one side of the spinal cord to the other. In summary, the Rex lamina are areas of gray matter in the spinal cord that are grouped based on structure and function. These areas are extremely important and ultimately ensure the brain and body are communicating effectively.